kochani, jestem w Toskanii we Włoszech i to będzie odcinek o Chianti Classico! Oglądajcie do końca! So during my fantastic trip to region Chianti Classico, I met Mr. Chianti Classico. Can you tell everybody who you are?
My name is Piero Antinori, and I am part of the family who has been in the wine business for now 26 generations. And 600 years, more than 600 years, because an ancestor of mine on a direct line started to produce wine, and the first document which proved that dates back to 1385, so it's a long time ago. So when you say that I am Mr. Chianti Classico, I'm very pleased to hear that, because I am even emotionally very linked to the Chianti Classico region.
Exactly. This is why I called you like this, and I'm very honored to meet you. And I'm really happy that everybody in Poland will see you and will see you in our episode about Chianti Classico. I'm so happy. What do we have in the glass?
In the glass we have a sparkling wine, which is produced not in Chianti Classico.
Because Chianti Classico is all about Sangiovese and
red wine.
Exactly.
But this wine is produced in northern Italy, in the Franciacorta district, near Brescia, not far away from the mountains, with a cool climate. And we have a small vineyard there, where since a long time we produce the sparkling wine also.
And actually, a lot of my viewers know that Franciacorta is one of my favorite regions in the world.
Oh, really?
Yes. So, and we made an episode about Franciacorta. Okay.
Very good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Salute.
Thank you. Salute.
We are in a beautiful place. Since years I wanted to come here, since I was working for Robert Mierzyński, because you can find kolację at Robert Mierzyński. Kisses for Robert.
Ciao, Robert.
So, we are at Kolację, so we are close to Florence,
yes,
in the heart of Chianti Classico.
Yes.
First, tell us something about Kolację. What is this place, this amazing villa behind us?
Allora, the Villa Kolację was designed by Michelangelo for the family Dini, that Michelangelo, and was built in the 1560s, but the villa wasn't completed for 400 years, until when the family Marchi decided to buy the estate, the whole estate, because Kolację is not only the villa, but it's 400 hectares of soil. And at that time, the family Marchi completed the building, and the architect, the designer, Pietro Porcinai, realized this pool, that's an architectural pool, to reflect the imaging of Villa Kolację in the water. Kolację, 400 hectares, the majority is forest, but a very big portion is olive trees, more than 100 hectares.
Amazing,
yes.
Yeah.
And 35 hectares of vineyards.
And you are using also in the vineyards, you are using the ships, I saw the ships.
Yes, we use the ships in the vineyards during the winter, and during spring and summer under the olive trees, just to clean the soil, to conserve as best as possible the landscape.
Can you explain to people what are ships doing the winter in the vineyards?
Eating the grass. And cleaning, yes, of course. Eating the grass at the end of October, the beginning of November, when we have only the last leaves on the vines. They can even eat the leaves, but in particular they go there, they eat the grass, and they fertilize the soil.
Fantastic. Natural fertilizer. Kolację is somehow related to Frescobaldi.
Yes. Kolację is related with the family Frescobaldi because this is the estate of Bona Marchi Frescobaldi. Is the estate from the family Marchi, and this lady, this amazing lady, got married with Vittorio Frescobaldi in the 60s. Vittorio Frescobaldi has been the president of the Frescobaldi Group, and the actual president of the Frescobaldi Group is Lamberto Frescobaldi, the first son of Bona and Vittorio.
Okay.
So this is the connection.
Yeah, and these are like, you told me before, these are like three the most important names in the history of
winemaking in Italy, of course.
So there's Gaia, Frescobaldi, and Antinori. And Colazzi, so the first vintage of Colazzi was made when?
The first vintage of Colazzi, the actual Colazzi, was made in the 1999, but the story of winemaking in Colazzi is older, and we are still conserving the very first bottles of Colazzi Chianti Colli Fiorentini, Florentine Hills, because where we are now, we are on the Colli Fiorentini, and with the logo, with the symbol of the little child, the Chianti Putto, and Colazzi at the time was producing only Sangiovese to do Chianti Colli Fiorentini. Then in the 90s, Lamberto Frescobaldi decided to renovate the vineyards, even introducing Cabernet Sauvignon and the other international grape variety, and we decided to skip from Chianti part of the vineyards to IGT, typical geographic indication. Because what's easier to communicate, we own 7 hectares of Chianti Classico, so we prefer to make only the Chianti Classico and then IGT.
IGT means that...
typical geographic indication. You can use a little bit more easier the international grape variety, and frequently means to realize wines that the foreigners called Super Tuscans.
Exactly. So we can play a little bit more. You can be more...
I am a little bit more free to do what I prefer, yes.
Okay. So sometimes this is, I think it's quite important message for buyers, for viewers, for wine lovers, that sometimes it's not all about appellations. Sometimes it's better to be outside the appellation with some labels in order to have more freedom and to play a little bit. And also this is how Super Tuscans were created.
Absolutely. Super Tuscans were created with this philosophy, but what is very important is to have a winemaker in any single estate that put his energy, his passion, and this style of winemaking.
Yeah. And for example, you cannot make a white Chianti.
Yes.
Chianti is always red. But if you are a lover of white wines, you need to taste Colazzi Fiano.
Yes.
Because this is one of the grapes which are really rarity.
See, absolutely.
You can open? I will open and you talk.
Prego. It's a super rare wine, 8 muri, 8 volts. The wine was created only with Fiano, 100%, and Fiano is the typical grape from the south of Italy. Fiano is it's a very particular grape because the bunches are very light, the berries are very small, so we say that is an elegant and very difficult to produce grape variety. At the end, if you want to produce massive quantity, it's not the grape variety to do it, but if you want to produce something special, Fiano really every year can give you these pineapple notes, lychee, citrus, together with the style of the winemaking process. So 8 muri is done 80% in stainless steel tank and 20% in barrique. 9 months on the lease with batonnage every 15 days and then less and less, and so takes this minerality with these butter notes, but it's not heavy, it's elegant. Fresh, because the acidity is still enough to be in Toscana, very enough, and is a wine that can easily age for years. And we suggest 8 muri with any type of food, not only for the aperitif, not only for seafood or fish, even white meat or something like that.
Without any problems, yeah. It can go from like pecorino cheese through vitello tonato, and then to some. Oh, I love when I'm in Italy. I always eat rabbit, with with rosemary.
The Selvatic one.
Yeah.
La lepre.
The lepre, yeah, with rosemary and little gnocchi,
Sì.
with butter sauce, that would go
Sì.
perfectly. Okay, now we need to talk about Chianti Classico and about your wine, your I Bastioni,
Sì.
or Bastioni.
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 Sì.
In present,
In the past was I Bastioni,
So,
but it was difficult in US because they were reading I Bastioni. Sì.
So this is why I always remember it like I Bastioni,
Sì.
and now I see
Sì.
the label, it's Bastioni.
Sì.
So let's taste Bastioni, and we will talk about the history of Chianti Classico.
Bene.
Okay? So what is that?
So 50 years ago, this was an easy machine to bottle the fiasco, the typical fiasco from Chianti. So the wine was arriving inside, was filtered before, or maybe was not filtered, and people were putting the fiasco like this to fill the fiasco with Chianti wine, and this was a super artisanal system to bottle.
I love it. And this is your oldest fiasco
Sì.
bottles, yeah?
Collazzi was not super famous for fiasco, but for the bottles 750, but even for the fiasco.
Okay.
When it was Chianti, Florentine Hills.
But no fiasco today.
No, we don't do a fiasco.
No.
You know, in Florence, fiasco now means that you've wronged something, okay?
It's in the...
That you made a mistake.
Of course, you don't know it, but in Polish, fiasco means a disaster, a mistake.
Sì,
we
sì.
took this name from Italian language. Tell me the story of Chianti Classico, about Gallo, which you put on every bottle.
Yes.
Gallo Nero.
Yes.
And the beginnings of the Chianti Classico.
Sure. Chianti Classico was created by Bettino Ricasoli 300 years ago. The Gallo Nero, the black rooster, is the symbol, is the logo of Chianti Classico, and the story is older than the appellation. And the story is since when Firenze and Siena were two different republics, and they were continuously fighting, one against the other. So one day they decided, okay, we have to decide where is the limit between Firenze and Siena, and we see the limit. We have one cavalier from Florence and one cavalier from Siena. They will run on the horses. In the place where they meet, this will be the limit. So why the story of Black Rooster? Because Firenze, they said, okay, the two cavaliers, they have to start when the rooster will singing in the morning. But Firenze decided to use a rooster, a black rooster, that was inside a small cage for many days. And so the black rooster was so nervous that didn't wait the sunlight. And he started singing much earlier than the Siena rooster. So the cavalier from Florence arrived far away from the city, respect to what the Siena cavalier could done.
Yeah, of course.
And this was the limit, and this was the creation of the Republic of Firenze, the Republic of Siena, and that's the reason why on the Chianti Classico labels we use the black rooster.
300 years of history, and now we will talk the 2018 vintage, which I hope is a good vintage.
Is a good vintage
for Chianti Classico.
Yes.
So let's sit and taste this wine.
Perfetto.
Okay, super.
Chianti Classico, Bastioni. The bastion is the retaining wall all around Villa Collazzi.
Okay.
That was designed by Michelangelo to can build such a huge, heavy house on the top of the hill. So the name Bastioni. And the label of Bastioni is the back entrance of Villa Collazzi, that it's this one with the stairs. Sangiovese with a bit of Malvasia and a bit of Merlot. 12 to 15 months in barrique, not new 1 year old barrels, French Allier. And the wine is selected, all the berries are selected on a sorting table and picked and fermented separately, the three grape variety. Then after 3-4 months we do the blend and we finalize the aging period in barrels, as I said you. Bastioni Chianti Classico is a striking Chianti Classico. It's not a light one. It's a medium body, rich of flavors from Sangiovese and rich of structure and body from Merlot.
No.
I open?
You talk about taste and we don't taste it, so come on. Perfect. Super color.
See, the vintage 18 is a good one that arrive after another good wine vintage, but hotter.
Yeah.
Because the 17 has been hot.
Yeah.
The 18 is much more elegant. The tannins are well integrated. The wine, since immediately, was showing the potentiality, but without being aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you open the bottle of Bastioni, you immediately feel the flavors, the perfumes from the grape variety, together with this touch of aging in barrels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the barrel is not overpowering the fruitiness.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
The barrel,
Yeah.
the barrique,
yeah.
the barrique is only to complete the taste of the wine, only to create this perfect balance.
I love it.
Me too.
So the best vintages for Chianti Classico, if our viewers want to buy a Chianti Classico and maybe, you know, age it a little bit in the cellar.
The 18 can be one of these.
18, then
Yes.
16.
Then 16, 15.
16 is fantastic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And to be honest, I decided every year to conserve bottles, and I never skip
Any vintage,
any vintage, because I want to see the evolution.
Of course, yeah.
But with the 18, I'm sure that I can drink it even in 15, 20 years without problem, maybe more.
Yeah. Okay, another question. The soil is very important in Chianti.
Sì.
There is something very typical for Chianti soil.
Sì.
What is it?
Allora, Chianti is famous for, in particular, for two types of stones. One is Galestro, and the other one is Alberese. So you can find both in the same plot of lands, but frequently you find 90% of one and just a bit of the other one.
Okay.
Galestro is a type of stones that has a good percentage of clay inside, and even if you find in the middle of the vineyards a big stone of Galestro, you can take it by your hands and you can crush it and destroy it. So it's not dense. Instead, Alberese is rock. Alberese is rock. If you have Alberese in the vineyards, it's even with the tractors, you cannot crash it. And so at the end you arrive to have two different Chianti Classicos. Depends of what you have more in the vineyards.
And this Chianti Classico, the vines are growing on which type of soil?
This Chianti Classico comes from San Casciano, and we have the majority of Galestro in this vineyard.
Okay. So now we are having a beautiful Chianti Classico in our glass, and what should we eat with that?
Allora, Chianti Classico for me, the Sangiovese in general, it's amazing with any kind of meat, barbecue meat, of course, but even with the long boiling process of cooking.
Okay.
Something that I really love with Sangiovese Bastioni, with the Chianti Classico Bastioni, is the peposo.
What is peposo?
Is a cow, and we produce it in impruneta. And this is a recipe older like the Duomo of Florence, because the Florentine that were working to realize the Duomo, they were cooking the peposo during where they were cooking the stones of the Duomo.
Really?
Yes. So
amazing story.
Impruneta, the common impruneta was full of fornace, burning places to realize the stones, and the ladies were cooking the peposo. So it's a cow with lots of pepper, and one of the most important ingredients was wine in the recipe.
Fantastic. We need to do it. We need to do it in Poland. I will try it.
Cheers.
Thank you so much for all your explanations. that was my last guide through Chianti Classico, and I can tell you that I could spend in this house like another month. It is a fantastic place with a fantastic view. One last question. Can people come and see this place, or this is like a private residency?
It's a private residency, but in Colazzi we have normally 4 days per week wine tours, and including the villa.
Super.
And the amazing restaurant that we have here.
Okay, where we go to eat.
Where we go to eat.
Drodzy winopijcy, to jest już koniec mojej przygody w Toskanii z Chianti Classico. Mam nadzieję, że dowiedzieliście się wszystkiego, co chcieliście zawsze wiedzieć o Chianti Classico. Wiem, że zadawaliście nam mnóstwo pytań o Toskanię i o Chianti Classico właśnie. Bardzo Was proszę o komentarze, czy Wam się podobało, czy brakowało Wam Tomka, czy też jakoś sobie dałam radę. Jakie są Wasze ulubione Chianti? Koniecznie również pamiętajcie, żeby zasubskrybować nasz kanał. Łapki w górę. Pamiętajcie również o Patronite. Patronite bardzo nam pomaga. I do następnego razu. Może znowu gdzieś będziemy podróżować. Ciao! Arrivederci!
Ciao! Venite in Toscana!
Kochani, prosiliście nas o odcinek o Toskanii. Pod odcinkiem, fantastycznym odcinkiem z Teresą Caponi-Borawską, który koniecznie musicie zobaczyć, jeżeli jeszcze go nie widzieliście. Tutaj!